I think the big question that should be asked is Volume 3's finale truly great? Well, they left us with a bigger cliffhanger than any of the other ones, so I would say yes. Everybody out there in YouTube land, Jake of the OneManBand is back again, and welcome to another edition of RWBY Episodic Review. Once again, we're taking a look at the finale of Volume 3, The End of the Beginning. Now, this is part 2 of my episodic breakdown, so if you missed part 1, I'm going to suggest you go watch it now, because you'll miss the first half of the episode and my breaking down of it. So let's get started with part 2. So, where we left off, everything had just gone white after RWBY went Super Saiyan, pretty much. And it's during this pretty much white transition that we just get very small bits of audio clips. Now, here's one of the things that I thought of during this. I was like, why is it white? Why did everything fade to white and now we're looking at like a white background? But then I got to thinking, you know, they kind of did this before. Back in episode 7, I think it was, when it was, like, the past of, like, Cinder and the Chaos Syndicate and what they did to Amber and stuff. And you see, those flashback transition periods were in black. You know, black signifies evil, what have you. And now, RWBY's transition is white. Pure innocence, you know, good, if you will. And that may be what it was going for, or it may have just been, you know, funny coincidence, but I like to think that it was actually planned that way. So anyway, during this transition period, we hear that Crow is the one who actually recovered RWBY from the top of the CCT. So that does confirm that Crow was indeed at Beacon Academy during the time of the battle. Now, when did he actually arrive? We're not sure, but I do believe he arrived at the same time as the Atlas personnel because Ironwood told him to take his personnel and go and evacuate Beacon. Now, what was Crow doing between him arriving and him recovering RWBY? I think he was looking for Ozpin. It would only make sense. Ozpin was still there, he knows that, and Ozpin is, we know, very important. So it could have been possible that Crow was looking for Ozpin, and he ended up finding him down in the vault. Now, he could have easily gotten Ozpin out of there, but I think Ozpin actually said no. He wanted Crow to leave him there, because he knew, Ozpin knew that now he had to put his faith in his smaller, more honest soul, which is RWBY. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that once it gets to that part of the episode, okay? But just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind, people. So, Crow recovers RWBY, and obviously, RWBY and Yang are both taken back to their home. And we hear that the CCT was indeed destroyed, we already practically knew that, and communication across the entire kingdom is down. But not only that, communication across the whole world is down, because if one kingdom can't have it, none of the other kingdoms can. We already covered this in the CCT World of Remnant breakdown video. And it's also confirmed that Ozpin is indeed missing. But I think Crow actually kind of knows where he is, or at least knew where he was, but now he's missing. He's gone someplace. And where is he gone? Once again, wait until the time comes. So when RWBY finally comes to, she finds that she's back at her home in Patch. Now, this is the first time we get to actually see RWBY's actual house. And for the most part, you know, it fits. I mean, it's a teenage girl's room. I mean, she has, like, pieces of art up on the wall. And if you look closely, some of those pieces of art have been seen in previous episodes. You know, just reusing some assets, I guess. And you know, there's figurines of Grimm on her desk, and I just found that really cool. Figurines are awesome. And another thing to make note of is that there's another bed in the room, and it has yellow pillows. So obviously, oh, that's Yang's bed. That's probably Yang's bed. But Yang isn't there. You know, maybe they shared a room up into them going to Beacon, or they shared a room when they were kids and then Yang got her own room. We're not sure about what the situation was back then, but we know that now Yang, you know, was broken, wants to be alone. We'll get to that. Just pointing out some things, that there were 2 beds in the bedroom, one for RWBY, one for Yang. They're very close, they're sisters. And finally, my friends, we finally get to see RWBY and Yang's father, Taiyang, in his greatness. And let me tell you, alright, so let me just get this out of the way. Now, Taiyang, he's voiced by Bernie Burns, so I honestly fell in love with that. Bernie Burns, I like his voice, I think he's a great actor, all that, you know, him playing Church and Red vs. Blue and all those other characters, great. But in the essence of Taiyang, it's not Bernie's voice that I have trouble with, it's that Taiyang, he gives off the vibe as the dorky father. Now, I don't know if that's wrong of me to just think that, but we can tell by the way he acts, by the things that he does, that he cares for his daughters very, very much. And there is nothing wrong with that. That's how a father is supposed to be. But I also get feelings of overprotectiveness over his daughters, which is once again kind of acceptable, because if we think about it, his first wife, Raven, she left, went off gallivanting, so he lost his first love. And then there was Summer Rose, who ended up dying. He lost his second love. So these 2 girls are the only thing pretty much left in his life that he truly loves. And if I was in his stead, I think I would latch onto them as hard, as tightly as possible. But he still gives off that sort of dorky father, you know, kind of vibe. And you know, maybe it'll work. Maybe it'll work like later on in the volumes, but I think most of us were kind of expecting Taiyang to be a form of badass. I mean, maybe a broken down badass, because I did believe that, like, you know, he's lost 2 wives, he would obviously be broken down by that, and, you know, he probably doesn't go out on missions anymore, or hadn't until the beginning of this volume, and he was just sort of going through the motions, not really doing anything extravagant. But I never thought Taiyang would be sort of the dorky father kind of guy. But there's actually one more thing that I kind of want to bring out about Taiyang's character. On his right arm, I believe it is, there's sort of a heart tattoo, you know, an intricate, you know, artsy tattoo. It's shaped like a heart, so that's what it looks like. That's what I'm calling it. Now, when did he get that, and who's it for? I mean, it could obviously be, oh, he got it for Raven, you know, like that, or he got it for Summer Rose, or maybe each half represents one of the girls, maybe each half represents his 2 daughters. What is up with that tattoo? I must know! People don't put tattoos on their body for no reason. Or at least that's how it should be. But that's probably enough of me just ranting about Taiyang. I like the character, and I can't wait to see where they go with it. So with RWBY coming to and Taiyang being there watching over his sleeping daughter, she starts asking him questions, because obviously she's been out for a little while. We don't know exactly how long, but I would at least think it's been maybe at least 2 or 3 days. That's what I'm guessing. From the information that Taiyang gives, we learn that the Kingdom of Vale was secured by the Huntsmen and the military, but Beacon is completely overrun, and the Grim Dragon that was there isn't dead, but it is frozen. And due to its frozen nature, and it still being alive, it is continuing to attract more Grimm to it. And soon Crow then arrives to have a little bit of talking time with RWBY. And when Crow says that he wants to talk to RWBY in private, Taiyang doesn't take to it well. He doesn't want to leave the room, and when he does, he gives Crow a look, a serious, angry look. Now, I believe this is kind of along the lines of Taiyang. He just got his daughters back. They just came back from the brink of dying. He almost lost his 2 daughters. And now Crow is going to come in and tell RWBY, obviously, the truth about her having silver eyes, what she did to the Grim Dragon, and possibly telling her information on what steps need to be taken to help take down the evil forces that she will then go and do. He doesn't want that to happen. Taiyang wants his daughters to stay at home, safe. He doesn't want them going out and risking their lives anymore. He almost lost them once. He doesn't want to have to go through that again. You see, overprotective father, that's where I get the vibe, right there. Now, is it wrong that Taiyang wants this? No, not really. He just wants to do what he thinks is right. But we obviously know RWBY is indeed key to the fight against the evil forces. So back to what Crow was going to say to her. Crow goes on to tell her that the reason the Grim Dragon is frozen on top of Beacon is due to RWBY. He states that there was an old legend in Remnant about people who were born with silver eyes. And these silver-eyed people were destined to be warriors, the great warriors. It was said that before huntsmen and kingdoms, they were the ones that would go out and fight the Grimm, and that a look from them, just a glance, if they looked at a Grimm, it could strike a Grimm dead. They were that powerful. Now, this is indeed a rare trait, but a trait that RWBY shared with her mother, Summer Rose. So both of them were born warriors, were meant to be protectors of this world. And this is one of the main reasons why Ozpin took such an interest in RWBY at the beginning of the series. Back then, when he first said, "You have silver eyes," we all knew that meant something. It could have meant something like this big. I'm like, oh, she's meant to be a destined hero. Or we knew that it was along the lines of, oh, it reminded Ozpin of her mother. We knew that that observation by Ozpin was important, and now it is finally paid off. So once again, Crow goes on to talk to RWBY and tell her that he was always working directly under Ozpin. All those missions that he went on, he was going on them on behalf of Ozpin. And now that Ozpin's gone, he has to pick up where Ozpin left. So essentially, Crow is gonna become the Ozpin of the series now. At least until Ozpin is recovered. So with the dropping of all those bombs, Crow tells RWBY that she needs to stay and rest. RWBY wants to help. She's eager to help. That's in her nature. But she needs to rest for now. And he goes along to drop the hint that the bad guys, they went to Haven. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, went to Haven. And we know that indeed, that Cinder did say that she hailed from Mistral, which is where Haven Academy is. I'm pretty sure, because it would make sense. So with the dropping of that hint, Crow leaves RWBY to just think things over. But of course, RWBY has to go and check in on her sister, see if she's doing okay. So RWBY goes to visit Yang, who's in another room. It looks more of a guest room. It's not really made up to be like a girl's room, a teenage girl's room. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they just didn't have time to put stuff on the wall. But one of the decorations in there is a vase of sunflowers. Now, not a really big deal, but since Yang's name does mean Little Sun Dragon, I kind of took a little note of that. It's like, sunflowers, Little Sun Dragon. It's funny. It's just those little things that really like perk me up and make me happy. So to put Yang's condition in simple terms, she's not okay. But the thing is, she doesn't talk about really her arm in any way. The loss of her arm doesn't really faze her all that much. She's more concerned about the loss of Beacon, the loss of Penny, the loss of Pyrrha, you know, the loss of everything that she had, not her arm. That just shows what kind of person Yang is. She cares more about people than herself. You know, that sort of motherly instinct that she had to develop for raising Ruby. Now, yes, it is obvious that the loss of her arm is troubling her, and obviously it's going to take some time for her to actually get over it, get back on her feet, but as of right now, she's more concerned about what is going on, you know, in the world, what happened to her emotionally instead of physically. Because right now, as we know, Team RWBY has been broken apart. Weiss was picked up by her father and taken back to Atlas. Now, since the last footage from Vale was Atlas troops firing upon the city and Grimm destroying it as well, everyone around the world doesn't know who to trust. Obviously, they think Atlas is probably a bad guy, Vale can't get information out to anyone, and pretty much everyone else is probably battening down their hatches and preparing for war. Now, if you divide humanity, they're easy to take out, you know. That's a quote from the end from the end speech. So Weiss will probably be pressured into joining the Atlas Military Huntsman Academy by her father. And that might not be so good because we know she has animosity towards her father. She kind of wants to do her own thing, and now her father is forcibly going to tell her what to do and make sure that she does it, because now she can't just go to a different kingdom. But this may open up more opportunities to have more Weiss and Winter time, you know, that two sister time. I think that'd be kind of cool in the next volume. And as for Blake, she ran. And I freaking knew she would. I freaking knew it. As we know, Blake says that due to her semblance, she's always left a clone behind and run from her problems. She's always let the clone take a hit and then run from her problems. And this is no different. She did start to gain courage. She did start to stand up to the things that scared her and that stood against her. But once Adam came into the picture, once he did what he did, he broke her down once again to the scaredy cat that she once was. And it's because of this, the fact that Blake ran after everything that Yang did for her, because as we know, Yang, through the volumes, has always been there, trying to build Blake up, supporting Blake, making sure Blake was okay. And now Blake runs off without even saying goodbye, not even seeing if Yang's gonna be alright. Yang feels betrayed. I would too. I would feel very much betrayed if my best friend just ran off on me without even saying goodbye or giving me a reason. And it is here that Yang states that she doesn't care. She doesn't care about Blake. I just felt a great disturbance in the Force. As if millions of Bumblebee shippers just cried out in agony. And then were silenced. So it is due to all this that has happened that Yang is essentially broken. Not due to the loss of her arm, but to the loss of everything else. Her team, her friends, her school. It's everything else that has broken Yang down to the point where she doesn't care anymore and just wants to be left alone. And that truly is the saddest part of this volume, because Yang, she's always been the strong one. She's always been the one that's been so hard-headed, so thick-skulled. Nothing gets her down. If something gets in her way, she just punches through it. But this everything that has led up to this point has just piled on top of her, piled on top of her, piled on top of her, until she finally just collapsed. And I'm saddened by this, to see Yang like this. Yang, you gotta get back in the game, man! Freaking making me feel bad. I mean, she's so broken down, she doesn't even return an I love you to Ruby. Ruby says the cutest I love you in the world, and she doesn't respond. And then it's here that we have a time skip. Now, it's obvious that a time skip was going to happen. It was either gonna happen here or at the beginning of the 4th volume. And you know what? I'd rather have it here. That way we get to see, oh yeah, going on adventures. So anyway, we see that fall ends and winter has begun, and we get to see that it actually snows in Patch. So that's something to look forward to. Snowball fight. But Ruby is sneaking out of her house, and she is joined by Jean, Ren, and Nora. So here we have a new grouping of students to form a new team, if you will, and they're going to go to Haven to track down the bad guys and to bring them to justice and such. Now, the team name for this lineup, it's like all over the place. It's like Team like Journey, Team Orange, Team Ranger, and I know there's a few more out there, but those are the ones that kind of caught my eye. And I'm not actually sure which one will actually work, but obviously it's either Ruby or Jean who's going to be the leader of this team. So, yeah. Good job on figuring out a team name when I couldn't, when I was doing my live reaction. And it is here that we come to the very end of the episode, where we get another voiceover. I guess it would be outro this time from Jen Taylor. As we know, she did an intro sequence for the very first volume, and now we finally get to hear her again at the ending of volume 3. And we learn here that her position in the world of Remnant isn't on the good side. She states that the ability to derive strength from hope is one of mankind's greatest attributes. So this sort of gives me the idea that she isn't human, or she doesn't identify as human, because she says mankind. You know, she doesn't seem to be like affiliating herself with mankind or stating that she is part of mankind. And she also says that she's going to divert all of her attention to snuffing out this power, the power to derive strength from hope. And that's sort of the kicker when we realize she isn't part of the good team. She also goes along to say that your faith in mankind was not misplaced. Now, she's talking to Ozpin. We all know this, but it's the way that she says that your faith in mankind was not misplaced. Makes me think, is Ozpin even human? She says it in such a way that it sounds like she both herself and Ozpin are not part of mankind. Like they're on the outside, you know. Ozpin put his faith in mankind, while she has put her faith in the creatures of Grimm. You know, so does this mean that Ozpin truly is human, or am I just sort of reading a little bit too much into it? She also goes along to say that humanity, united, very, very strong. Probably not able to be defeated. But if you divide them, break them apart, then you can easily snuff them out. Now, if you're pretty much any tactician or smart person, you already know this. Divide and conquer. That's how you achieve victory. So we know that the person talking is smart. And it is here that we finally get to have a look at who this person is. And let me tell you, it truly is something to be amazed at.
Yes, finally, you have gotten to talk about Lady Salem.
Master? What are you doing here? How are you even on here? I thought you were all in my head.
Oh yes, Lady Salem, my mistress, my lord, my master. She's the one who sent me to this world to keep an eye on you, OneManBand.
Wait. You work for Salem?
You were getting too close in your observations, and so now I am here to keep you in line. And now that we have finally gotten here, she will reward me for my deeds of greatness and devotion to her.
Okay, I understand. It's just, can I finish the review? And then we can talk or whatever?
Yeah, sure, continue your review, I don't care. Just watch out for me.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, see ya. Sorry about that, guys. Just, apparently I'm being watched. So, due to the credit sequence, we learn that this character's name is Salem, and she is essentially our Lord Grimm, or the Queen Grimm, if you really want to break it down, due to, gender. Now, the big thing we notice when we see Salem is where she's located. This is a place that is full of dark and creepy looking colors, shades of purple and dark pinks and blacks. Real creepy looking stuff. And it seems that there's giant dust crystals just pushing its way out of the surface. And that looks like that's just the landscape. But here's the thing, where exactly is that? Some people are already thinking, well, maybe it's some other part of Remnant, and that's good. That's good thinking right there. But it just seems far too alien for it to truly be on Remnant, and I may be wrong about that. But there was another theory out there a while ago that the Grimm come from another dimension. Now, maybe this is our first look at that dimension. Maybe it's another dimension, maybe it's another part of Remnant that we just haven't seen yet. But, as of right now, I am dubbing that landscape the Grimmscape. That's what it's called, and that's what I will always call it. So, Salem. She's the Lord Grimm, the Queen Grimm. But who is she really? There have already been a couple of theories thrown out there, but I believe, due to the transitions, due to the context clues that are given before the unveiling of Salem, that Salem is actually Summer Rose. And yes, I know, Monty himself stated that Summer Rose was dead. But I offer this in rebuttal. In Star Wars, Obi-Wan tells Luke that Darth Vader betrayed and murdered Anakin Skywalker. But then he goes on to say that Luke's father was seduced by the dark side of the Force, and when that happened, he became Darth Vader, and the good man who was Luke's father was destroyed. So what I told you is true, from a certain point of view. So, Salem very much well could have been Summer Rose at one point, but was consumed by dark powers or something. We got like 5 seconds of Salem, pretty much. But that's really all we have to go off of. Some people are throwing out theories that maybe Salem is the original Winter Maiden. They kind of look the same. But if you really break it down, I think that Winter Maiden would have been dead a long time ago. Obviously, anything is possible with the small amount of information that we got on Salem and all that. But as of right now, I'm sticking with Summer Rose. Salem was Summer Rose at some point, and hopefully we get a little bit more information about who Salem is in the future. But there is something else very important about Salem that I want to bring out. Now, if you look closely, she has like an intricate hairdress thing, very beautiful, kind of reminds me of a spider, so I got really freaked out. But she seems to have crystal garnishes in the headdress. But if you look, one of them seems to be missing. Now, obviously, could have been a mistake. But no. The unveiling of the true villain is something you don't make mistakes about. So there's a reason she's missing one. But we have seen those crystals before. Cinder's ankle bracelet has a crystal very similar to the ones in the hairdress. This may give Cinder the power to communicate and control the creatures of Grimm. It would make sense if she has an article, like an artifact from the Queen Grimm herself. They would listen to her, right? It would only make sense. And then it goes into the credit sequence, and at the end of the credit sequence, we once again get like a really short clip, and we see that Crow has Ozpin's cane. And this once again goes back to my reasoning on how Crow actually found Ozpin, but Ozpin chose to stay behind. If Salem got Ozpin, she wouldn't waste valuable resources trying to find him. And he, in turn, would put his entire faith in Crow and his smaller soul, which is RWBY. And we also get to see that he's watching over the newly formed Team Ranger or Orange or whatever you want to call it, and it seems that he's going to be following them. So he drops down a cliff, and then a crow rises up from it. So it very much seems that he has some sort of ability to either turn into a crow form, or that crow is a part of him somehow. Like, it can then be his eyes as he follows them on foot. Now, whether each one is the true is entirely up to you. I honestly think he somehow can turn into a crow. Some magical way. Some magical semblance way. And this, my friends, marks the end of Volume 3 of RWBY. And what is it? It's the Empire Strikes Back ending. It isn't the happiest ending. Not by a long shot. There was a lot of bad that happened in this volume. Some key characters left us. The heroes are split up and scattered. And even some of them got wounds that won't easily be healed. But at the end of the day, at the end of the movie, they're still looking out over the galaxy, and there's a spark of hope in their eyes. There's still hope for a better tomorrow, and that's what they're going for. Even though they've suffered great losses, and they're scattered, beaten down, and just overall feeling bad, they can still move on. They can still go and achieve what they need to do. And that right there is the Empire Strikes Back ending. And boy, was it good. I mean, how they ended this volume was indeed good. Am I saddened that certain characters are now gone? Yes. Yes, I am. I cry myself every night. I cry myself to sleep every night. But am I also excited for what is to come? Heck yes, I am. I mean, think about it. Now we have our main characters that are going to go to Haven. We get to see a whole new kingdom, a whole new culture, and probably meet a bunch of brand new characters. And who knows, maybe somehow Pyrrha is still alive and is some sort of spirit or was absorbed by Cinder in some way. That's always a possibility. She very well could be dead, which would truly be saddening. But I still hold on to hope. And of course, now that Team RWBY is split up, we're probably going to have 4 different perspectives on what's going to be going on in Remnant now. Obviously we're probably going to be concentrating on RWBY more. Like, RWBY, of course, is the main character. We're going to be focusing on what's going on with her firsthand. But we'll probably get small glimpses on, what's going on with Yang right now? What's Weiss doing up in Atlas? And then where the hell is Blake and what is she doing? I mean, we're going to need little snippets of information like that to get us through Volume 4. If we just concentrate on one member of Team RWBY, I don't think a lot of people are going to be happy with that. But hey, RWBY Volume 4 is indeed in the works, and I know that there was a picture posted on Facebook a few days ago that said that RWBY Volume 4 was like X days away, and I looked at the amount of days, I did the math, that falls along the line of RTX this year. So, is RWBY Volume 4 gonna premiere at RTX this year? Or was that just a joke? A sick joke somebody wanted to play? Well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Alrighty, you guys. This is the end of this episodic review, and it's gonna bring an end to the RWBY Volume 3 reviews. This is gonna be pretty much the end. But we're gonna be moving on into the off season. So I already have a bunch of video ideas lined up, but of course the first one is going to be the RWBY shipping video that I should have done ages ago. It was originally gonna be the Valentine's Day special, but you see, the finale came out on Valentine's Day, and we know how amazingly awesome and just big that was. So, you're gonna be getting a RWBY shipping video by me, probably next week. And then I'm going to have a bunch of other videos where I'm gonna be discussing, certain things that happened in this volume, other key things, what I want from Volume 4, stuff like that. And there may be like a giant volume recap video at some point. That might be happening, but I'm gonna have to work out the details. So just watch out. So be sure to like and favorite if you've enjoyed. Subscribe, of course, if you feel inclined to. If you want, you can check out some other videos that I've done. I do a lot of them on RWBY. It's kind of my big thing. And if you want, go ahead and check out Team Theory. That's my group over there on Facebook. If you have a crackpot theory about RWBY, or if you just want to talk about it with like-minded people, just head on over there and say, hey, I would like to join, and I'll let you join. It'll be fun. We'll have lots of laughs. And if you wish to support me a little bit monetarily, I would suggest you check out my Patreon page. If you want, big thanks to all my Patreon sponsors, especially Duncan Ishler, Grant Allen Hill, and Kyle Schultz. You guys are awesome. I love you. Thanks for sticking with me. And if Facebook really isn't your thing, check out this Google Plus RWBY fan group if you want. It's awesome. Go on there, join, talk about RWBY. And with that, I'm gonna need you to be a good person, tip your waitresses, keep moving forward, and until next time, whether that be the next RWBY video I do, or until Volume 4 comes out. I'll see you next time I'm out there in YouTube land. Hang tough, everybody, because we're gonna need it.